Today I want to show you an interesting detail about your fretting hand technique that can make a lot of your guitar licks, especially descending legato runs with a lot of pull-offs and single string licks that you play on one string only, feel a lot easier to play and sound a lot cleaner too. I call this non-perpendicular fretting.
Holy Jesus! What is that?
There are two basic fretting hand positions you learn as a guitar player. One is the blues position with the thumb over the top of the neck, so when you bend strings or do vibrato, the hand is in a good position to make these techniques happen. The other one is the so-called classical, or as I like to call it, the perpendicular hand position, where the thumb goes basically behind the middle finger right here, so when you're playing scales, the hand looks like this. And the reason I call this position the perpendicular position is if you look at the first couple of joints of the middle finger and the ring finger, they're basically perpendicular to the frets. The index finger and the pinky finger are not really exactly perpendicular, but the middle finger and the ring finger are. And this position is great for any type of technical or advanced lead playing where you need some flexibility or some serious stretching in your fretting hand. But what I found is forcing this position to happen all the time on all your lead playing can actually be counterproductive, especially when you're doing fast legato runs with a lot of pull-offs. Let's compare hammer-ons and pull-offs really quickly. To do a hammer-on, all you simply need to do is play a note, let's say with the index finger, and then let the middle finger come down straight and create a hammer-on. So for this, the perpendicular or the classical hand position works perfectly. But to do a pull-off, you can't simply just do a reverse of that motion and lift the finger back up in the air in the same exact way, tracing the same motion path, because then the pull-off is going to be inaudible. To do a pull-off, you need the finger to actually pull the string down, to snap the string like this. And if you try to do pull-offs with this totally perpendicular hand position, and if you force this hand position to happen every time you play pull-offs, then all you have to rely on is just the strength of your fingers. And it takes a lot of effort to do pull-offs cleanly and fast this way. So what I discovered and what I started doing with myself and with guitar students that I coach in Rapid Fire Guitar Practice Training Program is to use what's called a non-perpendicular fretting hand position. And the way it works is, instead of having the hand in this totally perpendicular position like this, I simply turn it just ever so slightly like this. So from here, I go to here. Now notice a few things. My thumb is still behind the neck of the guitar. It's not wrapped around. The thumb is still basically behind the middle finger. Maybe it's just ever so slightly closer towards the index finger than it was before, but it's still basically behind the middle finger, pointing up towards the ceiling. So the thumb isn't pointing this way anymore than it was just a second ago. Notice also that my wrist still has a largely positive bend in it. It's not bent backwards like this. It's still bend forwards a little bit like so, and that allows a lot of space between my palm and the bottom of the guitar neck, because you don't want the palm touching the bottom of the guitar neck either. You want a lot of space here. But when you go back to the front, this slightly angled or non-perpendicular hand position allows you now to do pull-offs, still mostly with the finger plucking the string, of course, but now you have more leverage to pull the string by using a little bit more of your wrist in the motion and your forearm in the motion as well. So instead of just doing the pull-off straight like this, now you can do it like this. It's a lot easier to do it faster and cleaner. And when you're playing faster licks with a lot of hammer-ons and pull-offs in them, then the slight angle in the wrist makes a huge difference in how easy the licks become to play. Now, I also said that this non-perpendicular hand position makes single string licks easier to play, and here's what I mean. If you play single string pedal tone licks like this, try to force the hand in this unnatural perpendicular hand position, the fingers are going to move a lot more. But if you turn the hand just ever so slightly like this, now the fingers can stay closer to the frets. So compare the two. And the faster you try to play, the more this inefficiency of the fretting hand fingers moving more than they should is going to come back and bite you in the ass, especially when you're trying to play really fast 16th note triplet licks like this. Now, the trick to doing the non-perpendicular hand position correctly is to not take it to the extreme, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to collapse the wrist backwards or bring the thumb over the top of the neck, and then you don't have any flexibility to do pull-offs with any kind of power because your fingers are constricted like this and it's very hard to move them, let alone stretch them. And if you try to play in this position lower on the guitar neck, it's going to be impossible to even reach the right frets you want to play. So the non-perpendicular position is just a very slight adjustment that gets the wrist and the forearm motion into the playing. Remember, in guitar playing, the motions are already very small to begin with, so any type of adjustment you make to the way your hands move, whether it's the fretting hand or the picking hand, is always very, very small. So be careful and don't over-exaggerate the adjustment. Another big advantage of the non-perpendicular hand position, especially when you get to playing string 3 and below, is that it allows you to use the underside of your index finger to mute the higher in pitch strings, so strings B and high E, and not let them ring out. You see, when you force the perpendicular hand position too strictly, what happens is now the higher strings are not covered or not muted at all. So if I do this, you can hear them ring out clearly. But if I go from the totally forced perpendicular hand position to the non-perpendicular hand position and turn to the side, now the index finger is touching the B and the high E string, and if I try to hit them, you can hear they're muted, which is exactly what I want. So not only are the pull-offs easier to do fast and are more articulate, but the playing overall is more clean. And from watching a lot of high-level players play really fast legato runs, I can see that they're using this non-perpendicular hand position to do really fast pull-offs, even when they're playing really low on the neck.
I could go on forever, baby.
So what is the point of this? The point is not to say that the perpendicular hand position is wrong. That's not what I'm saying at all. Nor is it the point that you should always be playing like this all the time for all your licks. That's also not what I'm saying. What I am saying is when you're practicing something and it's not coming out the way you want, the notes aren't clean, or it feels like you're using more effort than you should, it's not feeling easy, that's when these little technique adjustments can help. Because what you don't want to do is be stuck in forcing yourself in one hand position the same rigid way over and over, because that's what you think you're supposed to do. What you're supposed to do is make whatever you're practicing feel easy. That is the goal. Everything you play should always feel easy, and you know you're doing it right if your playing is becoming easier to play, the notes are sounding cleaner. And if they're not, if the playing feels hard, then it probably means you're doing something wrong, and a slight tweak in, let's say, your hand position, like the one I described in this video, can make all the difference in that case. This is a huge part of the problem-solving practicing mindset that I teach guitar players in my rapid-fire guitar practice training program, where instead of just blindly following a set of techniques or hand positions somebody told you, you look at whatever it is you're struggling with in your playing, you look at what's happening right now, compare the notes with how you want them to sound, and you try to close the gap using all the guitar technique tweaks and problem-solving tools at your disposal to make the mistakes disappear and make your playing sound better. That is what practicing is all about. And on that note, if you want some help with getting more progress out of your practice time, hit the link below and I'm going to show you a free 1-hour masterclass on 5 guitar playing progress accelerators that I discovered over the last last 20 years of playing and teaching guitar. And the less time you have to practice today, the more these things will help you, because the less time you have to practice, the more each minute matters. So the more progress and the more results you can pack into each minute of your practice time, the faster you'll improve, even if your practice time never increases. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell so you're notified every time I upload a new video just like this for you. This is Mike Filipov, guitar practice expert from PracticeGuitarNow.com. I'll see you next time.